and we are going to jump right back into another review for you. And this time we are reviewing Rajkummar Rao's new movie that just hit the theaters. It is called Hit the First Case. And, we went and watched the show in another empty theater, which was really sad. Um, it was sad not only because the theater was empty, it was sad also because Rajkumar Rao is such an amazing performer. But before we tell you how the movie was, I wanted Michael to tell you the top down. Michael, what do you feel about the movie?
Yeah, it is quite sad that the theaters were empty, especially considering, this movie was quite a bit better than the one we just previously reviewed, which was Love Goals. But with that said, Hit the First Case is a Hindi remake of the Telugu film of the same name by the same director. So getting the same kind of quality just as a Hindi remake. And we are following the story of Vikram, who is an officer at the Homicide Intervention Team, HIT for short, in Rajasthan, with an extremely traumatic past. The past trauma takes a toll on his health and really ultimately affects his work. Despite his doctor and girlfriend Neha's plead, Vikram doesn't want to quit the job and decides to take a 3-month holiday instead. Very common story we see within these. I'm immediately thinking of a lot of the different kind of like Westerns that we've seen, a lot of these cop shows, very common timeline. You have someone who just does not want to leave the job, who's in there. And so when Vikram goes away, a girl named Preeti goes missing and the case goes to the HIT team. And Neha, who finds a clue in her case, also goes missing. So Vikram now has to end his holiday abruptly and return to work on the case, almost as if this is a Hindi Die Hard kind of film, which I really liked as we were going in. And so every person, including him, is a suspect with a motive. The movie is like a, very kind of like one of these like mystery, like who did it kind of cases, which adds layer to layer and layer, and you're trying to figure out who the culprit may be. It is definitely one that keeps you on your seat. It's definitely one that makes you kind of rethink as you're going throughout the entire movie. And like I said, we've seen this kind of a plot before, but I really enjoyed how they were doing it. Really takes their time with letting things develop. And we're very excited to kind of dive into this. But first,
I had really high hopes, I have to tell you, Michael, because I absolutely love Rajkumar Rao's work. I love his work because of the intensity that he brings to his role, and he absolutely brought that intensity. We just watched Terminal, and the kind of intensity that Terminal brought to a PTSD survivor's role. That's the same kind of intensity that we see here Rajkumar Rao bring to that entire focus that he brings to his character Vikram of a PTSD survival, the triggers while at work and how it affects his mental health. So kudos to him. However, what I believe is, since the director is the same, what the guy's really done, he's picked up his Telugu movie frame by frame and he's literally translated it into Hindi. And the Hindi movie plays frame by frame of what the Telugu movie is. And what happens with that is the Telugu audience is a very different audience from the Hindi audience. And that just doesn't work for the movie. I'll tell you why, because he seems in no rush to take the audience to its hook. Now, the Telugu audience is a far more sober, patient audience than the Hindi audience. The Hindi audience wants everything happening right now. They're far more aggressive. And that just doesn't work. Because you're sitting here patiently. Imagine you're a thriller. You and I both love watching thrillers, right? You're sitting there, something's gonna hit because you hate to watch a thriller, and you know what's gonna happen because you read the synopsis, and you're waiting for the hook to happen, and you start losing your patience, and now the hook happens very late, and then in your head you start figuring the rest of the story out, and the story plays out very predictably, very, very, very predictably. You lose it.
Yep.
So honestly, that's exactly what happened. If the director thought he was doing this to create a franchise and that he has a lot of time to tell his narrative, For the audience, that entire delay was frustrating and agonizing. He touches upon a lot of topics in a very short time. He very cliched plot narratives like, safety of women, societal gaze, judgment of choice of clothes. To hell with you. Focus on one and give us something that's unpredictable, because every damn plot, subplot, every damn trigger, every damn scene, we predicted it. Uh, there's so much safety in the remake, in following the OG, that um, it was just not so much fun.
I think we do need to give some props though to Rajkummar Rao for his portrayal of Vikram. There were a lot of scenes where they kind of gave like these PTSD moments, and there were a lot of times where Vikram just had he was battling a lot of different emotions such as anger, fear, pain, and loss. And I think that the actor was able to do it very, very well. As you were talking about the terminalists and how that was portraying like PTSD for like some of these vets and stuff. And I really think that some of these little, some of these little portraits that Rajkumar is able to kind of paint of like what it's like to be experiencing these intense emotions. I think he did very, very well. I think there were definitely some scenes where, you were just kind of watching a very, very intense, moment. You're watching someone battle his demons, and I think he did it pretty well. If anything, I thought that performance was great.
I absolutely agree with you. Rajkumar Rao was the only redeeming factor in this entire movie. I don't know what Sanya Malhotra was doing here at all. I mean, she didn't have anything to do in the movie. Absolutely no role to play. Um, Very limited space to perform, very limited screen time. Um, I, I was kind of frustrated with this movie in the first place. If it had not been for Rajkumar Rao's very, very amazing performance, we wouldn't have even rated the movie, honestly. So that's